The energetic frequency of grace can also really help navigate our way through this experience. Oh, it's so great to see you guys. Thanks for watching. Can I ask you for a favor, if you don't mind? Can you write down, "I feel terrific today" in the comment section below? Help me engage with you. I want to connect with you. I want to authentically know how you're doing. And also, if you have any questions that maybe I can answer for you in a video, I would love to do that for you. So don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and share and tell all of your friends about the connections that you're making. And I will see ya on the flip side. Hey guys, it's Terry. It's so wonderful to see you. How's your heart today? How's your heart? Well, I'm hopefully going to be sharing with you some information that'll make your heart feel better. I'm hoping. Now, not that your heart may be feeling bad, because maybe your heart's feeling good. But if your heart is not feeling good, or your heart is feeling good, I want to talk to you about the energetic frequency of grace. Yes, yes. We've heard a lot in the spiritual, paranormal, metaphysical world about grace and taking everything with grace and being so graceful. And there's a lot of legitimacy to that energetic frequency of grace and how it can help us heal and how it allows us to sort of navigate more gracefully through life because, as we all know, contrast of the third dimension, right? Polarity and duality makes us very, very aware and activates our human ego, which of course the ego is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's actually here to help us save our physical body, but the ego doesn't always operate for our best intentions. Like sometimes it actually stops us from progressing and moving forward. So the ego will oftentimes tell us things that are not true. And it starts to become our inner critic, and it starts like gnawing away at our confidence, at our esteem, at our worth, right? So, learning to integrate the ego is really one of the biggest lessons we're here to learn. And as we learn how to integrate that ego and how not to really believe it and believe the lies and the stories it tells us, the way we integrate that is by being bigger than the ego. So that takes work and effort on our end to be greater than the stories we tell ourselves, yes? And that is what makes humans different than any other being. I mean, animals, they don't have an ego. They are always living in the present moment. But the ego does have a way of bringing humans into different timelines. And oftentimes it will tell us things that are not true. So learning how to integrate that human ego is super important to do. It's not an easy job, and it is something that we can really be successful at and with when we're working with other people and we have the right support system in place. So I'm really hoping that everybody who's watching this, as they go through their life experience, as you have your moments of contrast where your ego is flaring up, that you have the right support and that you have the right folks around you to help you navigate your way through the experience. And if not, you can always, watch these videos. If you want to work with me, that's really great. But the energetic frequency of grace can also really help navigate our way through this experience. And it can very well help sort of, I don't know if I would say the word tame the ego, but definitely stand up to it and, give it a run for its money, right? So let's talk a little bit about grace. What exactly is that Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here because I want to be able to give y'all the right information. Can't remember everything. Doing a lot over here on planet Earth. So I too need some help. Me in the form of a laptop. So, what is this energetic frequency of grace, right? So grace is a very feminine energy. It's a very nurturing. It's a simple and elegant movement towards progress. So that's what grace is. It's like you're moving along, you're doing your thing very elegantly, very simply, very nurturing, okay? That's what it means to have that energy of grace. It's the frequency that permits actions to happen imperfectly and not taking offense to it. So if you don't do something right and perfect, you don't get offended or you don't get upset by it when you're in that state of grace, right? The state of grace is all about acceptance and ease without judgment, right? So very similar to being unconditional. It's unconditional support through transformation. So that's what the frequency of grace is about. So if you can see how grace and the ego can work together, that would be really, really a good thing. Because once the ego, typically what happens is once the ego realizes it's no longer viable in either a certain train of thought or a behavior, it starts to act out. And it starts to hang on for dear life. And that's when all the stories happen that aren't true. And it starts telling us all these lies, right? But when we decide to come online and we make a very conscious choice not to really believe every word that ego says and to actually use the ego the way it's supposed to be to keep us safe but not stuck, then we invite that frequency of grace. So as we're transforming and as we're healing and as we're starting to overpower or win over that ego, by using grace, we can allow ourselves that movement through busting through the ego with unconditional support and with acceptance, without judgment, right? And ease and just simple elegance of just moving through the process of understanding when our ego is actually telling us lies and saying, no, Mr. Ego, I'm sorry. No, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. I know that you're saying, but here's the reality. As grace, I can see that what you're saying actually isn't true. Like Jonathan here is not going to die if he does pick up that phone to call and ask that girl out. Now, I can see that. I know you want to keep him safe and happy and hanging out with you on a Friday night. But what I see Jonathan really wanting connection and companionship. And I can also see that he won't physically die. Like his body will not cease to exist if he calls that girl. So I'm going to let him, kind of call that girl. And I'm just going to let him know that he's okay and that no matter what happens, and that he's strong and that he can move through this process without any judgment. That, my friends, is grace. Right? And that is grace telling off ego. Right? Yeah. So what grace does is it gives us the space to transform, to heal, right? And to not be perfect. Because a lot of us, we want to create that new reality. Yes? We want to be able to call in the abundance. We want the cash and prizes. We want the love. We want the good health. health. We want all of those things. But in order to do that, we have to make certain choices and jump onto certain timelines in order for that to happen. So if we are not embracing this frequency of grace, which allows us that space to be imperfect and choose our way through to the correct storylines and timelines, then it's going to be hard to create that new reality, right? So grace is a gift, right? It's the feminine flow. It's that nurturing place and space that allows us to take small steps forward with courage, right? So Jonathan can actually call that girl and just be like, I'm going to be okay no matter what happens. I'm going to be okay. And then I'm going to accept whatever happens. And so his energetic field will now be broadcasting a different signal other than fear, right? And of course, then his reflection all around him is going to then be in a reflection, and he'll magnetize his way and bring in more situations that are actually more graceful, right? Grace allows us to feel safe. It allows us to feel heard as we create that new reality. So it gives us the courage. It gives us the space to heal. It gives us the space to take risks. It gives us the space to be imperfect. So that's why tapping into and sensing that frequency of grace is like huge. And yes, it's a counterpart. I would call it a counterpart to the ego, So that's why in the metaphysical world, in the spiritual world, in the world of manifesting realities, that's why grace is so important to have, to be in that frequency, because it is that feeling, that sensation, and even on many levels, that knowing that everything is going to be okay. I can move forward and not be perfect. I'll feel supported, and I'm willing to take this risk because whatever I've been doing hasn't been working, and I've been stuck, and I can't get into that relationship. I can't make more money. I want to start. Oh my gosh, I got a phone call right at that time, and this is on airline mode or whatever. Well, I guess that's a really good way to end this segment, right? So I'm going to have grace with the situation, and I'm not going to get into my ego about how y'all are possibly judging me. No, great. 2 calls. 3 times, I kid you not. Watch me as I compose myself. Grace. See, I'm not immune to it either. All right. I think that's a sign from the divine to end this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this. So you guys, if you can find a way to get into grace as often as possible, you'll find your navigation through this human experience a lot easier and a lot smoother. So this is a way of staying connected, right? Stay connected to yourself, stay connected to your friends and family, and of course you can stay connected to me. Check me out at terryhuberman.com. You can see all the ways of how I can help you connect to the frequency of grace. And I'll see ya on the flip side.